Hi guys, Kyriakos here from StrengthbloX, and in this video we're going to go over with you through the whole process of how we coach our athletes from start to finish. We are going to show you what programs we are using and what everything looks like so you get familiar with our coaching service. The first step to the athlete's success begins even before the athlete steps foot in the gym. Every lifter is different, their strengths, their weaknesses, their proportions, injuries, lifestyle, their needs. The athlete begins by filling out a questionnaire that collects important information about the athlete. The athlete is also required to send over some training videos. Ideally, we need one video from a recent max out or a recent 1RM and a video from a set from around 80%. By watching these videos, we can see if the athlete is lacking somewhere strength-wise, technique-wise, or mobility-wise. And then we can move on to step 2 and create the long-term strategy of the athlete that will help them reach their goals. Before we start scrapping out the first training block, we need a plan, and that's why we take the time to build a long-term strategy so we know in which direction we have to move. Each block has a goal, like building more muscle, getting stronger, or peaking for a competition. And these blocks build on top of each other and work together to bring the athlete to their goal. Later in this video, we're going to go deeper of what our methods look like, so stick around. After we have a solid plan, the first individualized training block is created for the athlete, and then we move on to step 3 and send everything to the athlete. Each athlete receives a PDF with a complete plan, including their main lifts, their accessory lifts with target RPEs, their warm-up plan and their mobility plan. And the athlete basically receives 2 types of exercises. The first type of exercises are the exercises that are in bold, which also say drive next to the sets and reps. And those are basically the exercises like squat, bench press, deadlifts, or variations. And we update those from week to week or month to month in the Google Sheets, where I'm going to show you in a little bit. Everything that says drive under sets and reps basically means that the athlete can find their weight in the Google Sheets file. So when we open up the Google Sheets, we have our athlete Max Outman and their nickname No Limits. Every athlete in our team gets a nickname and they can see it in their personal profile. We have information like their gender, their weight class, their current body weight, some information about them like when they started working out, how many years they have been powerlifting and all that stuff. And apart from that, the athlete can find their maxes, their current max, their competition PR and their training PR. There are also some graphs, and on the bottom of this page we can see our meet history, where the athlete can either enter manually the competitions they took part in, or they can plug in their open powerlifting profile. In this case, I have plugged in my open powerlifting profile for Max Outman. In our team, everyone gets a special nickname at one point, and we have seen that often athletes call their teammates by their nickname and never call them again by their real name. That's just a fun thing we have in the team. And then we go to the active block. This is the meat and potatoes of our online file, of our Google Sheets, and this is where the magic happens. This is where the athlete gets their training updates weekly or monthly, depending on their package. For 99% of the time, we are coaching with fixed weight, and that means that the athlete receives exactly what they have to lift in weight, reps, and sets. And we do it this way for 2 reasons. The first reason is when we prescribe fixed weights, we take the responsibility of the athlete. And when training with RPE, if an undershoot or overshoot happens, meaning that the athlete did more or less than they had to, not only it can derail the training for the coming weeks, but the athlete will also be at fault. This way we eliminate the guesswork and stress. We are not saying that RPE-based training is wrong. We just want to take full responsibility if a mistake happens. And the second reason, in order to control how much volume is done and how difficult the training will be, we give fixed weight, reps, and sets. Also, we don't prescribe sets in the traditional way, so it can be difficult to prescribe all sets on RPE. It will be hard to predict and hit the RPE correctly. So as you can see here, it might look a bit confusing at first, but basically each week moves from left to right, and each block you see is a lift of the plan. For example, here we have our block for one lift of the program. As you can see, there is a code above, and that means B1 means block 1, W1 means week 1, D1 means day 1, and the next is squad 1, competition, is basically the competition stance. The sets move on from set 1 to set 10, and this is the order the sets have to be done. As you can see, there is the weight there. That's, for example, 100 kilos for 5 reps. And you can find all sets that you have to do in a session right here. The athlete is required to enter their RPE in the RPE column, in the dark green column. As you can see, I just entered something here so you can see RP5, RP6 and RP7. And it's very important that the athlete enters the RPE during the session and for all sets so that we have the most accuracy possible. And the athlete has the possibility to write a comment next to each set if something is non-urgent, for example, misgroove or something similar. And the athlete is also required by default to lift the heaviest set of the session. And if we require more videos, whether that is to double check if the RPs are correct or because of technical reasons, for example, we want to try something new and we want to do it with a lighter weight, or we just want to see the technique on a lighter set with less breakdown, we ask the athlete to film an extra set. And these videos are uploaded in Google Drive, which can be found in the athlete information page. Each athlete has their own individual link to their Google Drive, and the athlete enters the lifts in a folder. For example, for the first week it would be B1, W1 folder, and the athlete can throw all the relevant videos in there with the relevant titles so we can recognize them. So the week goes from left to right, and the athlete can find all the lifts that will be uploaded in Drive from left to right. And once the athlete finishes the whole week, a new week will appear below it. And the coming weeks are dependent from the previous week's performance and RPE, as we do this step by step. And then when a new week is updated, a new row appears under the previous week. We also have some metrics to rate performance and progress of the athletes, and this is basically how it goes regarding the compound lifts. It's nothing too complicated. Once you get used to it, it's just a grid. From left to right is a progression of the week. From day 1 to the last day of the microcycle, the main lifts are placed in order they have to be done. And from top to bottom, you have the progression of the lift. So over the years, we have developed our own methods and successfully coach athletes of different levels. We are coaching athletes using an adaptive block length, and that basically means two things. The first thing is that we basically don't have fixed deloads most of the time, because most of our athletes have responsibilities outside the gym, like work, school, university, maybe a family, kids. And because life can also be unpredictable, like getting sick or having to miss some sessions because of something happening. Deloads are not fixed and are prescribed when the athlete needs it. And secondly, blocks can be written to run for a specific number of weeks. However, we go with the flow of progress of the athlete, and we might extend the block if the athlete can run for longer to reap more benefits, or if the athlete is starting to fatigue, we might end the block sooner. This adaptive block length can also allow the athlete to jump back in training if the athlete has an unplanned break. Before we move on with the explanation of our Google Sheets, we want to take a moment and talk about one of the most important aspects of successful powerlifting coaching, and this can really make or break powerlifting coaching, and that is communication. For that reason, our lines of communication are always open for the athletes to call us or send us a message whenever they need something, and we try to respond as soon as possible. Some reasons might be, for example, that the athlete might have had a hard day at work, or they are not feeling at their best, or they haven't slept well the night before and might need to pull back on the upcoming training or while they are at the gym, or if the athlete has gotten sick and lost training during a week and the microcycle might need some adjusting so that they don't miss the important stuff, or the athlete maybe has a very heavy session coming up and they might need mental support or motivation to hit the session, or the athlete is experiencing some aches or pains during training or after training or during a phase, and they might need guidance on how to proceed with training and deal with this correctly. Another example might be that the athlete is just excited about their training or a new PR they have hit and they just want to talk about it, or if the athlete has generally some concerns about their plan or some struggles, they can always reach out to us and ask for our opinion or talk with us. We put a lot of value into the athlete-coach communication because otherwise a lot of detail can be lost. And also remember that coaches are not mind readers, and if the athlete has something going on, the coach cannot know without the athlete telling them. We are also proud to say that we have become great friends with many of our athletes, and coaching is not only a business interaction anymore. And at the end of the day, we are people, and having friends and relationships is what we want. So moving on with the Google Sheets file, we're moving on to the accessory work page. In this page, the athlete can log their weights for their accessory exercises. Their accessory exercises are basically the exercises in the PDF that we give sets and reps and RPE for the athlete to hit. This is a great way for us to know and for the athlete to know if they are doing progress and if they are giving enough effort instead of just going through the motions. The goal of powerlifting is to get stronger, and in order to get stronger, you have to maximize muscle growth, so don't slack on your accessory work. The athlete can enter the exercises they want to track on the left, and they can write their notes on the right in the weeks. As you can see, we have week 1, week 2, week 3, and moving on. As the weeks progress, and the athlete can write their notes there. They can write whatever they like, whether that is the weight they lifted, or the RP they have hit, or the reps they did. And then moving on to the body weight page, we also have a body weight tracking page, and this is especially good for athletes who are not stable with their body weight. For example, in a weight gain phase or in a weight cut phase for a competition, the athlete can choose the starting day up on the left and enter their body weight each Monday for us to see. We can see how fast the athlete is gaining or losing, and we can know if performance is affected by it. And lastly, we have the feedback page. This is where the athlete can find their feedback at the end of the week regarding their technique. If they need to, of course, we do not write feedbacks just to write them. If the athlete needs a very big feedback on technique, we write a file and we upload it here. Not all athletes need feedback every week, and we check the videos, and if they need one, we write one for them. We also provide instant feedback in the chat, and if the athlete has questions about their training during their training, for example, how to perform an exercise, or they just need a few tips, or just want to make sure that they're doing their exercises correctly, or have specific questions during the training about a specific point in their feedback that we have given them, they can send their videos and their questions in the chat, and we try to reply to them as fast as possible. And basically, this is how we work and how we coach athletes at Strengthblox. Apart from that, the athletes have some bonuses like access to a community, access to an exercise library, access to paid resources for free, invitations to team events and community events, giveaways or special discounts, and many more. Over the years, we have had great success with coaching, and we have noticed that most people benefit from coaching. There are some specific cases that coaching is a must. So if you're unsure if coaching is for you, we're going to give you some of our most common examples of where coaching is highly recommended. If you have been training for around 6 to 18 months on free programs or random programs you buy off the internet, and you have stopped seeing progress, or you are not seeing the same progress as you have been seeing in the beginning, it's probably time for coaching. These programs are not made for you specifically, and the more you progress, the more details have to be addressed, the more complex the training has to become in order for you to keep moving forward. If you are always stressing if your program is the right one for you, or if it will work, you don't know exactly how much weight you have to lift, or how many sets you have to do, or what type of rep ranges you have to use for you to make progress, or if you have the tendency to jump from program to program without finishing them because you are always stressing, coaching can eliminate all the guesswork and stress for you, and it can put you on the right path, and you can get to work and just focus on training. Another very important point is if you want to become an elite powerlifter and you want to compete on the international stage, you basically have to get a coach. There is no top level powerlifter in the world that is training off random programs, and that is for a good reason. In order for you to maximize your performance and to become the best powerlifter possible, a lot of long-term planning has to take place. We are talking not months, not days, but years, and a lot of strategy has to happen. A lot of details have to be addressed. In order for you to maximize your absolute potential, you have to find a good coach that has also experience with high-level athletes, and only an experienced powerlifting coach can take you to that level. Also, if you have a lot of responsibilities like school, work, studies, kids, a family, and you find that you have an unstable schedule and you can't stick to a rigid plan, coaching is a great option for you because you have the flexibility and support on weeks that the things don't go exactly on plan. And to ensure that you have continuous progress without missing the important stuff, you can get a coach, and the coach can guide you step by step, week to week, in order for you to reach your potential. And finally, if you're tired researching the internet, if you have what's called analysis paralysis, you are absorbing all this information. There is a lot of information on the internet, and if this is confusing you even more, it's time for a coach. Listen to a coach, follow their plan. You don't have to stress about anything to focus on training. Everything will be done for you. You don't have to have the knowledge yourself, and you don't need to structure your program yourself and stress about it if it's gonna work or not. If any of these sounds like, we highly recommend looking into our powerlifting coaching, so you can click the links in the description or head over to strengthblox.com and we can start increasing your total today.